why do we air layer? Well, we've bought probably 70 trees, and so far we probably only have 10 good ones that actually produce the fruit that you want. Most of the trees you buy are from seed stock. Down there's a case in point. Follow me real quick. This is a tree from seed stock. It's no good. See what happens? They don't make good fruit. The peaches start splitting before they're ripe, and sometimes we got one down there that has a whole bunch of little ones and really big ones that are splitting. They're just hard as a rock. They're no good. So what we do is we finally get a good tree that we like, that actually makes the fruit it's supposed to make, like that Red Delicious apple right there. Which actually makes Red Delicious apples. And we air layer that and make more of those. This one is supposed to be a Red Delicious. It's green. And then this one's supposed to be a Red Delicious. That's about the most red I've seen on the apples in the past 4 years. So we want to basically, when we finally find a tree that actually makes what it makes, we air layer it so we can make more of those and then rip out the ones that we bought that are junk. It's a gamble. Roll the dice. So I'm going to air layer this tree. And what you want to look for is a leaf node. There's a leaf node right there, right there. Also with peach trees, we're going to top it probably right about there. And I'm going to air layer it back here somewhere. So that way it's open in the middle. This will just be waste. I could probably air layer here as well. I might do that so we can make 2 trees out of this. But I really don't see much. Maybe near the top, but they're going up on a really hard angle. And they're likely to break off if they put too much fruit on them. Whereas these right here are at a nice angle. They're almost straight out, but up a little bit, so they'll hold a lot of weight. So this will be discarded, and then I'll cut it off down here somewhere, and I'll make the air layer right here, where it's nice and straight. It's got a good sized trunk to it. So let's get on it. So first thing we need to do is clear the area where we're going to air layer. I want to get rid of any little branches. You want to cut them off just above where the knot is. And that one. You might as well get rid of that too. All right. So what you want to do is, you have a leaf node. This is a good open space right here. There's a couple leaf nodes, but this one's good. So I'm gonna probably go right about here, just below this one. The reason is the energy for making roots is gonna come to this, where the leaf node was, because it wants to make a new branch. But if it can't make a branch, it's gonna start making roots. Roots don't come from the bottom. They come from the top down. So we're gonna go just below this node, right there. Zoom in on that, would you? Right there, make a score mark all the way around. You want a nice sharp knife. You can use a razor blade if you want to, if you're not worried about cutting yourself. I always worry about it, so razor blades are kind of dangerous. And then all you want to do, you want to start there. You want to peel back all that green wood. That's bark. It's called the cadmium layer. Probably not saying it right, but I don't care. Cadmium. And then you want to get down to the wood when you're scraping it. But first you want to just get rid of all the bark and the green stuff. And then you can take your knife and put it on the edge and scrape it. until you get to wood. You'll know when you're at the wood because it'll start sounding different. And if you don't get down to the wood, it's going to heal itself, and you will get a burl right there, which will just be a knot. You won't get roots. Okay, let me flip this up. You want to keep scraping downward from your initial cut. And it's okay if you go past where you made the mark. It's not going to hurt anything. And scraping. And get rid of all that soft wood because that's still bark. If you don't, like I said, it will heal. And you'll just end up with a burl with no roots. Chop that off so it doesn't try to heal right there. You don't have to peel all the little fuzzies off if you don't want to. It's not going to change anything. You don't want anything soft left behind. I think that's pretty good. All right. Now, what I like to do, because I use powder for root hormone, is just wet the wood at the top area and around. This is rainwater, so not worried about it. Any kind of whatever. Then I like to get up a little higher on the bark because it actually does make, from my experience, it makes little root nodules on the bark. You don't have to worry about getting down here, but I always just make sure it's completely covered. And you want to push this root hormone up into the bark area. Make sure it's jammed up in there really good. That's where your roots are going to come from, is the top part. Then you come over here and you get your Ziploc bag. Gallon size, I like. You can use a smaller one if you want, but I want plenty of room for a lot of roots because this is going to stay on there for probably a couple of months. And there's the teenagers. You want to take your peat moss and squeeze out the water. You don't have to get it all out, just squeeze it out. Depending on the size of the stick you're gonna be air layering is about, you want to basically have enough peat moss to go all the way around that stick. If you just got a little pencil sized one, you don't need a lot of peat moss. That should do it for that size branch. So that way it'll get all the way around it and give plenty of room for roots to grow. What I like to do is just hold it over itself like so. Take the knife, don't go all the way. If you do, you'll figure out why you don't do that. Then you want to crack it in half like an egg. Have your electrical tape and your saran wrap handy. Up there, up there. I'll put that there out of the way. There we go. All right. So now you want to just take this, crack like an egg here. You want about 50-50. Again, comes from the top, not the bottom. But all we want to do is try to seal it up keep the moisture in. And make sure you have peat moss all the way around that. And where's the end? There it is. The other way. Might as well get right around the middle and then bring it to the end. You want to pack it up in there, especially on the bottom. You don't want it to constantly be leaking out. You want to be able to get some of the bag into the electrical tape. Give it a good tight, like so, and just keep wrapping it. This is where you need to make it waterproof so the water doesn't just drip out. And when you're ready to cut it off, it's not going to be bone dry. Kind of like that, and then I'll go around the bottom one more time. Get it good and tight. Use electrical tape because it's stretchy.
And not the cheap one.
No, get that cheap electrical tape. Get the Scotch brand. 3M. This stuff sticks forever. 2 months from now, after sitting in the boiling heat, it's still stretchy and it's still sticky. I'm not endorsing anything, but that's just the kind I like, and because I know it works. And then come around up here on the top again. Make sure you seal around the tree. You don't want water getting out. I think that should do that. That's Josh. Now, take the saran wrap. I like to get the big roll and just cut it in half. It's easier to deal with a smaller than it is. The bigger one just keeps tangling up, making a mess. You want to wrap it around several times. That helps make it watertight. It'll continue to drip, don't worry about that. You're not going to get it perfectly watertight. We just want to retain the moisture that's in there. Go around a bunch of times. Top, back around the bottom. And then that's done. And then we just scrunch it up here, scrunch it up there, and we'll go get some more tape. Now you want to tape this up. Start at the wood, go around it once or twice, and then start taping up that saran wrap or shrink wrap, whatever you want to call it. I'm so used to calling it saran wrap because, well, I'm old, and that was the first brand out there. You want to tape that up real good. Keeps it watertight. And I like to just come around the whole thing. Helps hold it together. And that keeps it from twisting too. See, it doesn't twist around. You don't want it to twist around because you'll rip your roots off. We don't want that. They're very delicate when they're air layered. So delicate if you look at them wrong, they break apart. Then we take the tin foil. We have a dull side and a shiny side. The reason for this is reflective. Keeps the sunlight out. So, if you could guess, we want the shiny side out. We don't want to pull heat in, we want to keep heat out. Just like baking. If you want to keep the heat out, you put the dull side out. But we want to do the opposite because we're trying to reflect the sunlight away. Like that. And then, just for good measure, so the wind doesn't blow the tin foil off, we'll just put a wrap around that. And done. There's your air layer. We'll come back and revisit it in probably the beginning of October. That's how we do it. You can do that with blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, just about anything that has a stalk you can air layer. So, and also if it gets too heavy, see how we get the bunchy cords here? If your air layer puts too much weight on it, it falls down. You want to, I'll either use construction string or we'll just bungee cord it to a dead limb so it doesn't fall down, break off, hit the ground or whatever. There you go. And we'll post the results sometime in October. We're gonna go from, another key element. Last year we did that red delicious apple tree. We put them in pots or buckets for the entire winter, and we stored them at the south side of the house. Came springtime, follow me. We still have some left from that. They're dead. The roots rotted off. There's no roots. There was roots, but there was only a couple. And you can see here where it started to make a burrow. It started healing itself instead of making more roots. That's a burrow right there. That's the result of putting it in a bucket. And here's another one. This one died. No burrow. It did have roots, but there weren't enough. So it died off. And that's also because when I tried to plant them, I was trying to get it out of the bucket with the dirt, and the roots are so delicate that the roots just broke off. So basically when you air layer and you're ready to cut it off the tree, you want to have a hole dug where you're going to put that tree with all your amendments in the soil. You want to have a deep hole dug for its taproot, and then just pack the soil back in loosely. Don't push it down real tight. That way the young taproot can find its way easier. And once it does that, it'll grow like crazy.